Hi, I'm your host, Erica Polsinelli, and welcome to Evolve by Erica, the podcast, where we talk all things spirituality, ascension, health, wellness, and beyond. I'm so excited that you are here. Come on in. Hello, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Evolve by Erica, the podcast. It has been so long since I recorded a podcast. I batched so many during the spring in the city. And it's also very interesting how I feel like when you're on this journey of evolving, you just say things or film things and you're guided to things. And then after a day or two, you're like, wait, what was I even talking about? Like, I'm a different person from that moment. Like, so it's amazing. I'm thinking back to what are the last things we shared? It's been so long, but they were all divinely shared at the perfect time they were supposed to be in the version of myself that I was in that moment. And here we're going to have a fresh, brand new version of me and my dear friend Mystique, who I'm so excited to share with you today. He is such a light worker. I mean, I can't say enough. So let me tell you how we met first, and then we'll go right into the conversation. So my beautiful friend Victoria Mann, who many of you know by now, she's been such a guide in this lifetime for me. So she had a bachelorette party out east and Mystique was there and she had told me, she was like, you need to meet Mystique. You have no idea. You and Mystique are going to hit it off. Like you are going to love him. And I'm like, okay. Like whatever, you know me, I'm always in my shell and I'm like, if it's divine, we'll meet. And sure enough, bachelorette party, I was about to teach a meditation for everybody that was there. And Mystique and I got into the deepest conversation that I ran late to my own meditation because everyone was like looking at us and they were
Yeah.
like, yeah, we can't pull them out of this right now. They're not even here. But he was there filming content and I just got to chatting with him in a field that was beyond this one.
Hmm.
And your Mystique, your life to me is like goals in so many ways
Huh.
and so inspiring. And I want you to share about that. And I'm so excited for the community to meet you. So, guys, we're going to welcome Mystique here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so grateful to be
Thank
here
you.
and for the divine connection. Everything is like so synchronistic. So I'm happy that we cross paths again in this dimension.
It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah.
And I wish that we can come back to the things we were talking about that day. But when you travel through the fields, it's like you kind of come back and you're like, well, where did we even go?
Exactly.
Where
Yeah.
did we even go? So I would love for you to share a little bit about what your life is like right now
Uh,
to the community and like how you spend your days and your times, what's priority to you versus how it was.
yeah. So start with my life right now, current life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So current life, pretty much, I consider myself like a free spirit. So I'm just navigating the earth right now, like, like more nomadic, just living like in my sovereignty. I spent my life for the past years living a kind of fake life. It's like, like it wasn't my most authentic life, chasing, uh, trying to figure out who I am, discovering myself. And just spend the last 3 years really in nature, in just focusing on myself and my own, like just mastery. So
Mm,
right now I spend my days mastering who I am and just discovering more and more and serving in communities upstate New York. I stay a lot upstate. So it's more like in the woods, like in the mountains,
yeah.
Catskills region. And it's like a lot of meditation, a lot of, Tai Chi, Qigong in the waters, in the river. And yeah, just serving, just helping to build different communities upstate, if that's a simpler form. So like any in-depth question, you can just ask me in depth and or if you want to in-depth, like I would
Yeah,
always share
I
more.
always love
Yeah, yeah,
detail. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
literally want you to tell us about your community upstate. Like, are you living with a group of
yeah.
people?
So
Are you
yeah,
harvesting your own food? Like what exactly is happening
so
there?
like it's not that um, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not so raw like right now. Now is more about it's a group of us, people that that I stay with, and it's like a farmhouse, and we share the space. Plant our own food, and do retreats there, stuff like that. So that's the idea. Um, but for me, I eat normal. Like, like I go and eat, like, even last year I was more doing like the foraging, going in the woods,
Mm,
getting like chicken off the woods, like mushrooms and foraging all these different things. But today, life has shifted from like where it was last year. Last year I was living in a mountain for 8 months. So like this is a cool story. I actually went off the grid and live in the mountains, top of a mountain, right, by myself with for a little bit. Then my brother Jaguar came and we lived there with nothing. Like stayed in a tent, like power, water from the river, showered in the river, and that was the
wow.
kind of life that we lived. And that was like when I was like, it's like more bushcraft, right? That's when I had more time to live in that way, and did some events there. People from the city would come up and we do like kind of like I guess gatherings, retreats, stuff like that.
Mhm.
But that's what happened then. Right now is just like more, I guess, developed community, right? So it's just like few people, it's not many. But my goal is to get land right now and to build an actual community. So like that's where I'm at right now, Yeah, yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah. So
And do you see that that's where you're going to spend most of your time, like in a community upstate?
yeah, yeah. So like yeah, my vision right now, I'm an Aquarius, right? So as an Aquarius, my goal is all about community. Like
Yeah.
it's my sole purpose, my sole mission. It's the only thing that is keeping me here right now in this dimension is to build community. So the goal is to be in the Catskills or the Hudson Valley region and to get land and to build a sustainable off-grid community where we can live um, in community and also do retreats and just create a space like a safe haven where we could come and live completely off the grid, have our own food, water system, solar panel, um, guess thermal energy. So these are all like all form of like natural energies, right? So
Mm,
that's the ultimate vision. That's what I'm focused on the most right now. And in the meantime, I'm just assisting, like I'm serving in other communities, helping to build and just pass whatever wisdom and hold space for whoever I can right now. But the ultimate goal is to come together with a group of people that's like-minded and to get our own land. Because right now I'm not on my own land, I'm with
yeah.
a sister Jenny on her farm, and that's where we're at right now. Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful. I'm an Aquarius moon, and I think community is so important as well as freedom. And like everything you're
Yeah,
talking about is like that true essence of being free and not relying on anything or anybody else and
yeah,
being able to, of course, work in community, but grow what you need and
yeah,
have what you need right there for you.
yeah,
It's a beautiful thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like that's the whole thing is like like if we come into our own sovereignty and knowing that we are all alone together because everyone is like within their own dimension, right? But we are
Mhm.
coexisting, we are co-creating together, and that's the beautiful part where like we can't do it alone. Like
Yes.
we weren't created to just be alone. We were created to
Mhm.
be in community together, right? It's not a one man's mission. It's like for me, it's a community mission. It's a collective goal. So there's no. It's so beautiful when I'm amongst a group of people and we're all vibrating on the same energies. Like it's like you're amplified, you're like stimulated because we're all giving and we're all like you're receiving. It's sacred. What's what I'm looking for? Sacred reciprocity, right? So we're just like in a space where it's just like amplified and the energy is right. The actual vibration is right and the frequency is right, and that's the beauty of being in community. Where we're living together and serving together, and yeah, that's how I enjoy living right now. Is like in community, but I'm always alone. I'm like a loner, like
Yeah.
so like I'm like a monk. Like I said, like yeah, I said like I'm a monk and I'm being a monks. So I'm a monk and I'm being a monks, right? So I go in and I kind of like dabble around and assist and do what I have to do, but then I go off and I'm
Mhm.
back in the woods, keeping sacred company with God, goddess, and myself. So that's kind of how I navigate my days. Like I'm in and out of. I'm just always like just moving around. It's like
I love
traveling,
that.
right? It's like a bird, like the eagle. It's just like flying around and just being rather than just doing.
I just saw an orb like
Or
flash right next to
oh
you,
yeah,
an orangey red one.
oh wow,
Yeah, I've
that's my
never
aura
seen
actually.
that
Yeah,
color.
yeah, like that's my. Have you ever done
An
like
aura
aura test? Yeah,
reading,
yes.
I
So like they have the light.
haven't, but like I've done it to myself, if
Yeah,
that
yeah,
makes sense. Yeah.
yes.
And that's your color of your
Orange and
aura?
red, yeah. It's like creative, yeah. It's like the whole. It's always the same thing. It's like super orange and red
Wow.
because it's like my creative power. Like I'm a very creative person. Like it's like the fire. It's a lot of fire,
Yeah.
right? So it's like the creative energy that lives within me, like as a creator, co-creator here with the master. Yeah.
You just helped me to affirm the gift I have in seeing that
Seeing. Yeah.
because I've never ever seen that color before with
Really?
someone. Never.
Oh
No.
wow.
I typically see clear bursts. I've seen yellow, I've seen purple, blue, never orange and red.
That's pretty interesting that you actually saw that because like,
Yes.
you know, if I could find a chart at some point, if I find it in my phone, I'll show it to you after. But it's literally that's the color of my aura. It's like orange and red, like intensely. So for you to see
Wow.
that, that's definitely
So cool.
yeah, it's cool. It's very cool.
So cool. There's so much that you said that I want to go deeper
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
The first thing is the idea of like, we can't do it alone. And this is like not a solo mission.
yeah.
And I think in the society that we have had up until this point, because everything's changing, is that like we've been taught to achieve on our own and
Yeah.
like be the best individually or strive to be the best or do this when no one else is doing it or whatever it may be.
Mm,
And if we're really in the frequency of the idea, and I know you and I live in this most
yeah,
of our time, that we're part of this huge collective shift
for
right
sure.
now, and it's coming out of the me and into the we
Mm,
of like, I'll give an example. So I know sometimes when people see other people doing what they're doing, they
yeah,
could be threatened by that.
exactly.
Or like, she's teaching meditation, I teach meditation. And it's like, ooh, that is
Yeah.
part of the old
Yep.
paradigm. And coming into the space of like, wow, that person is going to reach the people that he or she is meant to reach.
Yeah.
And while I reach the people I'm meant to reach, or same thing with you for content creation or whatever, I mean, you share so much beyond content creation too, and it's just this movement away from me and into this collective energy of we, and it's a whole different, it kind of just puts everything in life into perspective. Like a lot
Yeah.
of the things we stress about or fear about, it doesn't live in this new paradigm that we're
Mm,
building and creating in this new world. So I love that you pointed that out. There was so much like, okay, this was my other question that came to me. When you're in the woods,
yeah.
I retreat too. Like I need a lot of time to myself. I love being at the beach with friends, with my
Yeah.
husband, and then I need beach time by myself because
For
that's
sure.
like my sacred space. So when you go into the woods, do you have rituals or prayers or meditations, anything that you could share with us that you tap into?
Yeah. For me, all right, let me share this one. So it's first about just first becoming a child, right? Is coming back to the child that's within us, right? It's like seeing everything with fresh eyes. You know, when I go in the woods, I'm just like in awe of our beloved mother, you know, Pachamama. I'm like in awe of like everything, the birds, and just the journey, like going up because it's always in the mountains. I go up mountains, so it's always like a deep, like a steep walk, and then you get to it, and you're like, wow, like it's like I'm walking up, and it's like painful, but when you get to the top, it's like this was worth it, you know, like it's the journey,
Hell yeah.
right? So when I get there, I'm just like all this water body, and I'm just laying down, I'm looking, I'm smiling, and you know, practice that I do is a form of I guess cleansing
Mm,
and filling up my cup because you know we all have a cup, and sometimes you know we give so much that our cup could be a little bit lower, empty, right? So I like to go to the water and just you know see myself you know surrendering, you know letting go of that which doesn't serve me anymore. Anything that I want to just give over to the waters, I will just give it over, and then I just fill up my cup. So it's like a kind of like guided meditation where I'm guiding myself through that process, more like a visualization too, and just going in and just see myself filling up this cup of water, right? And just filling up and knowing that this is like all my love that I'm getting back. And then the goal is to always keep my cup full and keep
mm,
it overflowing. And overflowing is on what I'm given from. So my cup will never be empty again, right? That's what I've learned just by being because there's so much wisdom that you'll learn when you stay in nature, when you be in nature for a time, like it reveals mysteries beyond what we can even comprehend.
mhm.
And for me, I've unlocked a lot of mysteries. There's things that I could talk about and share, which is just like so deep, you know, of just, you know, like even other than even like you're letting go, I could also use that. So, you know, I look at the mountain and even the whole river system, right? That it goes back to the ocean, right? So, you know, my life is like the river, right? It's like it's coming from the mountain and it's going through all these paths. Some path might be a rock, could be through the mud, it could be through the grass, the weed, whatever, but it's flowing. It's always flowing, and it's going back to where the ocean of all possibilities. So I'm always seeing
Mm,
myself in that way, that I need to continue to be a river and continue to flow. So when I go there, it just remind me to embody these ways of nature. It's just coming back to my true nature, which is nature, right? And embodying all these beautiful qualities, right? And then seeing that in others, that we're all on our path. We're all like this river flowing back to the ocean, the mother of all possibilities. Like that's how I look at it. In the Yoruba, it's called Oshun. She's a river goddess, and the ocean is called like it's called Yemaya. So Oshun is like we're the children of Oshun, and we're given everything over to Oshun, and she's bringing it back to Yemaya, which is like the mother, or
mm,
the sister, mother or sister, could be both, right? So like that's the kind of relationship. So that's the beauty of like that interaction with me being in the woods and being in the mountains, being in the river. So like I do that, I'll chant, I'll drum.
yeah.
So it's just like really being, like for me it's about the nothingness,
Mm,
right? It's just really being rather than doing. That's the real practice.
yeah.
Being in nature is just to be still in silence and to listen and to observe, and then you're able to face you, right? There's no noise. There's not a bunch of things around me drowning. It's just you and nature, and there's a lot of wisdom that has to bring. So
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully that
What are
answers you.
your favorite chants or like the ones that you tap into the
For me,
most?
it's native. Like it's a very native um, spirit that works for me. Like because like I practice more shamanism, so like that's like the principles that I follow. So like like it just comes through. Like I don't ever like plan it or do it. It just
Mm,
like comes through. So everything just come through in a moment. And just like hey aho, like it's just like aho. Aho is like a is
mhm.
thank you. So it's just like chanting either Yahweh or even like your Wakantanka, which is the great spirit, the great mystery, in the native, you know, I guess culture. So that's some of the chants that come through, like, but yeah, it's the simple, easy chants. It's like whatever I feel.
Yeah.
It's never a plan. It's never a thing I'm going like I'm going to do this. It's just like
Mhm.
whatever happens, I'm open to whatever that want to come through, being that open channel. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Was you say that you're a free spirit and it's
Yeah.
clear, like just how you live your life.
Yeah.
You have a feather in your hair. You're just flowing.
Yeah.
You're flowing. Um, was there a moment or a period in your life that shifted you into this
Oh,
space?
for sure. Yeah. So like now we're gonna get deeper
Yeah.
as like like as you go into conversation, it gets warmer and better, right? So this is a story of my life. Like, like before, like I lived like this. I was into the business world. I was very, like that person that you spoke about earlier, where it's like the competition, like you're doing video, I'm doing video, I'm gonna dominate you. Like
Yeah.
that was the idea, the mentality. It's all competition based, right?
Mhm.
Because that's how I was programmed. And then it's just like, like I found myself just trying to fit in. It's like, all right, I came from Jamaica. I didn't have much.
You grew up in
Grew up in Jamaica,
Jamaica?
born and raised in Jamaica.
Oh
Came
my
here when I was 19
gosh.
or 18. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So I lived my whole life in Jamaica and then came to America. And then you know, worked my whole life, just like working like almost like a slave. It's like slave to my own, I guess,
Program.
programs and also my own, I guess, ambition, right? It's like
Mm.
these different ambition that I have, like the
Mhm.
fantasies of getting this, get in the car, get in the house, which I did. I get the car, like I got my BMW in 20, like 2018. I got the Rolex, I got the watch, I got all the material stuff that I've been chasing, got the apartments, got all the good stuff. And when I got it, I was like, I mean, this is it, right? I was like, this is what I've been doing all this work for, just to come to this point, right? Like imagine doing this thing your whole life, like fighting to get here, and got there, and then this is it,
Yeah.
right? And when I saw that, I got really just depressed, like like I got very disappointed, like this is not it. And then I went into depression in 2019. In 2019, I just started meditating for like 12 hours a day. I literally just like something happened to me where I switched. That
Mm.
depression, which I look at as deep rest.
Mm.
Yeah, depression for me is just it means deep rest. Deep rest. I need to go into a deep rest. All right. So being depressed, I say, all right, it's time to go into deep rest. And it's like a mechanism that I look at that's installed within every, I guess, this technology, this body, it's installed within us. And whenever we're not doing things that is not aligned with our truest purpose, it comes on, right? So because this wasn't serving me anymore, it got activated. And then I went into rest. And then all I was doing just meditating, like trying every kind of meditation there is, 12 hours a day. And then yeah, 2019, 2020 come and I felt good again. And then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try this again. And it wasn't it. And then the whole great awakening happening. That's when like my shift really happened. That's when I guess this version started to cultivate, right? When the 2020 whole experience happened, when we went through a great awakening, that's what I call it. I came online like fully, like a
Mm.
walking happened. And I went to like a retreat upstate where I'm staying right now. And after that retreat, it was just like a shift. Like I saw all these visions, and it happened around this time. Everything was happening right now. It happened on the full moon in Aquarius, where I did like a like a big mushroom journey,
Mm.
and then I had the AA portal, which I went to a retreat, and that shifted my life. And then I started wearing my feathers, and I'm like, hold up, this is me. It's like these different avatars that we have, but always afraid because I'm too worried about what you think, this person thinks, she think. Like I'm worried. I'm afraid to be my authentic form. So, just to cut it short, you
Don't
know,
cut anything
oh,
short.
don't cut it short. All right. All right. So, it's just like being in that as I'm going through that process, and going through 2020, then I went through like so much different shifts. It's like these things are just like beyond this dimension, things I went through. I just started dressing different ways and like these different kind of dressing keep coming in. But then there's a time when I dressed like, wow, like, people that be like, yeah, this guy's a crazy guy, right? Had on like a lot of crystals, had on these long type of drape stuff, and just like my head is wrapped and it's like a real shamanic look.
Hmm.
And people are like, and in that moment, everyone thought I was crazy. Like I saw the whole world flipped. The
Yeah.
moment I step into my own authentic truth and be like, this is who I am. I don't care what you're thinking.
Hmm.
Yeah, this is my business and you have your business. You stay in your business, I stay in my business. And I was just like in this different dimension. This didn't exist anymore. Right. And I literally um got called crazy. I started to realize that there's many dimensions and that I'm a multidimensional being and there's
Hmm.
many versions of me operating. Came to that awareness. And this is one of the versions of me that wanted to express because I suppress my expressions,
Hmm.
because I don't want people to think I'm crazy or, like this guy. But then I did something that was wild. I sent a message out, like it was a future transmission to like everyone in my phone, like business people, like everyone that
What did it
like
say?
what it said, something like, I'm from a different planet, right? It was the wildest message ever. I was like, I'm from a different planet. This is the future version of me that's coming through right now. And that was like a pattern interrupt. Because like for me, like I like to do a thing that's called pattern interrupt. I interrupt patterns in my own life. And it happens in people's life too as well, where just this interruption of the program that's going. I send it out. My mother, everyone was like, dude, he have lost it. He is crazy. Right. And I had to live with that. I had to live with that
Yeah.
abandonment.
Mm.
It's like a betrayal. People say, "Oh, like you think that you're this," and
Mm.
there's like so much different your projections. People couldn't get it, and I just like went away, and that's when I went away. I just like disappeared from the world. So people, you probably think I'm dead right now because I just disappeared. I just left, changed my number on the New Year 2021, and just like started fresh. Like forget everyone. All right. I'm starting fresh. I'm gonna meet new people. And that's when I just like left and went to Atlanta. I lived in Atlanta for 6 months. And then I came back to New York. So yeah, I just live my life now however I feel. And like I realize that even my dressing can sometimes throw people off. Sometimes I'll adapt. Or like I'll like adjust, not to
Mm.
fit in,
Mhm.
but just to be able to get some message across, right?
Mhm.
Because they might be afraid because people get very intimidated. Like they don't know what this is and they see me as a dark entity, but that's just their own projection, right? Because we do all have darkness and light. That's the balance of this whole dimension. It's dark, like it doesn't exist without the other. We came from where? The triple womb of darkness. We came from in the womb, right? Inside the womb, right? So we came from this darkness into the light, right? Just like a seed. Every seed goes into the earth, back to darkness, and come back to
Mm.
light. So you see the connection to darkness. We're just looking at it in a way of how it was taught to us, like this idea that we create, and then people see me and they be like, oh, it's like a dark guy, right? Like, and but I, like I get it because I once was like that, like I didn't have the understanding to discern, right? So I have compassion and empathy for those who are still in that state of consciousness, and seeing the vision of them, just continue to ascend and come to this realization that we're all one, and I'm you and you're me and we're not separate.
Yeah.
So
All I feel when I'm around you is light and warmth. So
yeah.
tell me more about this program disruption, pattern
All right.
disruption.
Pattern interruption.
Okay. Yeah. Tell me about
Or
that.
yeah, I'm like pattern interrupt. So like I'll do things. So like I've discovered things, that I realize like that is a program that's going. I could do something practical with you right now,
Okay. Let's
if
do
you
it.
want. All right. So imagine. I would imagine you have a great imagination, right? So imagine this is a drum,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a drum
Yeah.
and it has some strings, right?
Okay.
So I'm gonna give you 8 seconds to do whatever you want to do. 8 seconds. Remember, it's a drum and you can play the guitar. So 8, 7,
But
6.
do I just pick one?
Yeah, yeah. Do whatever you want.
Okay.
So 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now I'm gonna give you the opportunity to do the same thing to me, right? You could give me, I guess, any time from 1 to 8 to do whatever I want. So just do the same thing to me.
Okay. But it's not a guitar or a drum. I
No,
have to
no,
come
no,
up with something
no.
else.
It's the same idea.
Same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Go.
But do whatever I want.
Do whatever you
All
want.
right. So go ahead. Just count down.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So what was the difference between you and I?
You didn't do anything with it. You
I did
didn't feel
whatever I
like,
want.
yeah, you didn't
Right.
feel like you needed to use
Right.
that in that
Right. So
moment.
I told you to do whatever you want, but you
Yeah.
did what?
I played it because I thought I had
You
to.
you did the program. The
Yes.
program is to drum and to play a
Yeah.
guitar. Right. So that's what you did. You follow the program that's running within your subconscious and the body. It knows that you're supposed to be drumming
Yep.
or that. So it did that. Right. So I've come to these awareness that my mind and body is doing these things.
Mm.
And I'm beyond that. I've stepped beyond that. I've become in that, like actual awareness. So that's my free will, my free choice to do whatever I want. So that's the ways how I interrupt patterns. Like, like this is a practical thing where I
Give
show
me
you.
another
Yeah.
example.
So
I
yeah,
love
yeah,
this.
yeah,
I
yeah,
want
yeah, yeah.
tell me a
So
recent one you've
all
come
right. So like for me,
across.
like extreme things, like it's just like I do things that's more extreme in the sense of like, um, like sleeping in the woods, for example, like a very simple way, right? I'll go in the middle of the woods in pitch black, right? Because what?
And sleep
it-
there?
I mean, I slept in the woods for 8 months. I slept on the top of a mountain for 8 months in complete void, darkness. Bears passing up, you're passing by, snakes, there's coyote, there's all that stuff, right? So we have this fear of the dark, right? So for me to step beyond this fear, this illusion, right? I have to go and interrupt this pattern of being afraid by doing something that's going to make me very afraid. So it's like the fear, right? I like to say fear like this, right? Like this is how I actually look at fear. 4 things. So fear is fake energy appearing real, false evidence appearing real. I could forget everything and run, or I could face everything and rise. That's all fear, FEAR. Face everything and rise. So I choose to face everything and rise. So by me stepping into this fear, I realized that it was just all fake energy appearing real. So by me being in the woods, sleeping in it, at first I'm like, it's day one, and I'm like afraid. I'm hearing things circling my tent. Then I'm day two. I'm like, all right. And then by day 3, day 4, you realize that everything is gone. It's just like it just went away. So the idea of the pattern interrupt is whatever that I'm doing constantly that is not allowing me to be the best version of myself, I'm going to do something completely opposite to counter that. That's the idea of the pattern interrupt. It's just doing things that makes me uncomfortable. So like, because I look at this like that, like I could do what's easy and life becomes hard, or I could do what's hard and life becomes easy. Right.
Absolutely.
So I take the hard path. I take the hard road every time. And that's the part of the pattern interrupt, is taking the hard path, right? Doing what is difficult, having the hard talks, having the hard conversation, telling someone something that they might not want to hear with the right invitation, right? These are how we interrupt patterns within our life. And knowing that it's going to create some kind of I guess, uncomfortability, but we have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, right?
Mhm.
So that's how I live my life, is in the comfort of being uncomfortable, knowing that all is well. So
Wow.
yeah, so like that's like, like I showed you a practical way, then I give you like a common thing, right? So the
Yeah.
practical is just like these subconscious programs that's running, the preconceptions, the idea, the belief that was given to you. Like, who taught you these things? It wasn't you that taught you.
Right.
It was somebody. From every book that we have read, from everything that we've listened to,
Everything.
it didn't come from your own experience.
Yep.
Knowledge is coming from someone else. But are you able to observe with your own two eyes and see with your only eye, the first eye, right? Because we only have two eyes to observe and one eye to see. And that's the eye of God, is the first eye that we call the third eye, right?
Mhm.
So I'm able to observe and then get my own experience. That's how we gain wisdom. Yes, knowledge is there, but when we start to apply and extract the wisdom through our practice and through our experience, that's when we know something, right? So for me, I just continue to live my life in that way of, let's just, like, let's drop everything that I've learned and let's start over. And that's what I've done for the past 5 years, is
Mhm.
all new ideas, all new belief systems, shed all the idea, the preconception idea, and then go straight to source. Like, I don't go to anyone anymore. Like,
Yeah.
even, yeah. So like, yeah, there's more I want to share in this, but I'll take a pause from here. And then,
No, please keep
yeah.
going.
So, even the age of the guru for me, that paradigm is shifting.
Yep.
Like, I believe that in the guru system, in the religion system, and this might get a little bit controversial, but it's not to offend anyone. It's just my way of
Yeah.
how I've seen it, how I've lived. Is like, I bow to the divine teacher, within each and every being,
Mm.
but there's a source that's within all of us. The creator source is in you and I, right? And I've remembered that. And I don't believe that I need a person to tell me who I am or how to live or how to find the creator, right? I don't need to seek anything because God is here. Like, what am I seeking? And that's the thing, where it's like, like, I feel like I've lived in that system. I live in a retreat center for 18 months, after the whole COVID situation, the whole the whole 2020 situation. I
Yeah.
live in a retreat center for like 18 months,
Mhm.
so I've lived in it, and it has merit. That's a good thing. But for me, I'm not in the hierarchical way of being. I think we're all equal. I think we're all one. We're all the same source. We're at different phases in our journey, right? But we all have access to source. So for me, my connection is going directly to Father, Mother, God, and then seeing that we all have information, that I can't teach you anything.
Yeah.
You already know everything, right? I'm only helping you, or I'm only assisting you, to actually, like, remember all that you once knew, right? So that's my path. Is when I walk now, I'm just walking as a messenger, as a guide, and from the message, you could find what is true for you. Because what's true for you might be be like, I think it's different for me. What dims
Yes.
your light might brighten my light. What brighten my light might dim your light. But
Yeah.
there's a light that we both can connect to, right? And that's that light of the Creator.
It's so
Yeah,
true. It's so true.
I feel like a lot.
No, there's so much I want to talk about. Oh my gosh. So,
Uh,
I mean, let's start with the remembrance.
mm.
And it's interesting because a lot of the content I consume and the teachers
Yeah.
or speakers or inspirational motivational speakers that I'm guided to, it's kind of, and saying this outside of this context can sound like cocky or overconfident, but it's truly like being reminded. I was listening to Ed Milet today. Have you
Mm.
ever heard of
I
him?
never heard. Yeah.
So a lot of people who I really respect him highly, and I was never really guided to him. And then this morning I got the hit that I need to listen to him.
Yeah.
And everything he's saying was genius, beautiful, so profound, but it was nothing new. It was a remembrance
That's
of
it.
what my soul
For
and my
sure.
body knows already. And it's just the beautiful way in which he's
Yeah.
gifted in
Exactly.
delivering it. And this is what happened when I read Bringers of the Dawn, the Palladian, the book
Uh,
of the channeled
yeah.
messages
Like,
from the
I haven't read it.
Palladians.
Yeah.
It, consumed it and it feels as if you're learning something new, but as you read it, you're just like, yes,
Yes,
yes, yes,
exactly,
I knew this, but you didn't consciously know it. It was
exactly.
deep within your codes and
That's
your
it.
soul.
Yeah,
And that in a lot of people will look to me sometimes as like their teacher or DM me about advice of like even something as simple as like what meditation to do.
yeah,
And I'm like, you know what
exactly.
to do.
Yeah,
You just have to tune in to what you know.
yeah,
I why you think I know anything is because I've mastered knowing what's within me for
yeah,
myself. And I'm here to teach that for other people,
yeah,
to remind you exactly what you said, like the age of the guru. I've had many teachers, and in Kundalini, there's a very big emphasis on having a teacher, and I've had many in my
yeah,
life. I do have one beautiful teacher who is so important to me and I'm so grateful for her. And with that, there's been teachers that have come before her and probably teachers that will follow as she'll
yeah,
continue to be my teacher. But I think it's beautiful how you brought up the age of the guru and moving away from it.
yeah. Hmm.
And what my practice has brought me, because my practice is controversial. I don't know if you know that, but
I'm not
there's
sure.
a lot of controversy around Kundalini,
Ah,
and you know how going back to the guru, the energy of the guru and the
yeah.
person that brought it to the States to
Mm,
teach everyone. And for me, it wasn't ever about one person. It was about what this practice has awakened
for
within
sure.
me
Yeah,
and the wisdom I was automatically downloaded with and had access to. And then
yeah.
it's like, no matter what's gone on in the history of this practice, with this practice, you can find this too, or
That's it.
whatever practice it
That's
is.
it.
This one just happens to be the one that has helped me
Exactly.
significantly. So it's such a powerful point that you bring up. And I'm so happy for everyone to listen and hear that because
Yeah,
everyone listening is their own teacher. Everyone listening is their own intuitive.
for
Everyone
sure.
listening is their own psychic. Everyone listening is their own
Yeah,
healer. And it's about finding the ways to access that.
yeah,
And it's so powerful. And I think that's going to come up a lot more too.
yeah. Like I want to add to that too.
Yeah,
Which is
please.
the beautiful thing that like again, we all could use guidance, right?
Mm.
That's the beautiful thing that teachers are here, or these beings are here to assist us. It's just that some beings have chosen to abuse this power. They realize
Mm.
that many, are a little bit lost, right? Many of us think that we know, right? I want to share something that I've learned from one of my teachers. I've had like two teachers or three teachers, right? And it's the five levels of knowing when it comes to consciousness, right? Because everyone think they know something, right? And
Mhm.
to the very core, we all do know, right?
Mhm.
But the lowest level of consciousness when it comes to knowing is I know.
Mhm.
Second is I don't know. The third is I know something. The fourth is I know what I know what I don't know.
Mm.
And the highest level is I know what I know is nothing, right? So when you could embody that way of being, that I know what I know is nothing, then you're in a different, I guess, dimension. Like I like to call things dimension, right? So it's coming back to that, remembering that I know what I know is nothing, but truly within, everything is there because you have access to the realm of the all knowing, the all seeing. We're connected to source. We just like forgot that we have that. It's written in all the books, We're created in the image of the creator, right? We have those gifts, it's all written. And we have seen it. So just coming back to that, remembering that we're going through a great remembrance, and it's okay to follow, but remember that you also are a leader. You have that ability to lead. Shepherd creates shepherds, right? You don't create a person that's going to follow you till you die, and then
Mhm.
it's like, do this, do that, go here. That you can't be this, like in certain, I guess, practices, like you're not a heyoka, like in even like the Indian, culture, the chiefs would be like, you're not a heyoka, and I honor all these practices. I love every single individual in every religion, you know, because I pull from everything,
Yeah,
right? That's the beauty of
because
me,
it's
where,
all one.
yeah, it all has its wisdom. It's just different
Mhm. Yeah.
ways how to get to it. It's kind of
Yeah.
like what you shared earlier. You said something about you do meditation, she do meditation, but then what's the clash, right? It's the ego,
Yep.
right? And then we evolve from what we call the matrix to know a spiritual matrix
Mhm.
where we have spiritual ego. And it's just like, it's still a competition base. It's about me, right? It's not about service of
Yeah.
others. That's the real mission on earth, is to come into a place of giving, where my giving is a place, I'm giving from a place of unconditional love. It's selflessly. There's no need for any kind of like a recognition or any kind of need for any kind of like a reward. I'm just giving,
Yeah.
right? Because in my giving, me personally, I know that I'm always receiving,
Yeah.
right? That my father and my mother, your father sky, mother earth, is always given to me, right? And that's something that I had an issue with before, was giving. It's like, like I give so much, and like I'm not getting anything, and I'm like actually, like wanted something, you know. And then I've
Mhm.
realized that, like, I'm just giving just to give. It's not what's in it for me. It's like I'm giving something. So what's in it for me? No, I'm just giving, because I'm just giving. So, I've come to like the awareness that I could just give, because
Yeah.
it's always coming back to me. It might not be in this realm, that my reward is outside of this dimension.
Mhm.
It's beyond this, it's beyond these physical stuff. So yeah, it's just like coming back to that true mastery of self. Everyone must discover self, because the kingdom of heaven is within, and we have to know thyself, right? It's not out here. Out here, there's many things that we could get. And we're so caught up on all the messengers. The messengers are, like they're not so important. Do we get the message? Right? We're killing all the messengers. We're like, oh, this messenger, this, that,
Yeah.
and everything there's truth. Right. So even in the gurus, man, like come and share all the wisdom. I'm like a sponge. I'm sitting down every day,
Mhm.
just getting, like just getting all the information that I could receive. And I take what works for me. It's like the beach. I go to the beach and you pick up a sand, and whatever slides through. And I'm like, whatever's left, the gems that's left in your hand, like hold on to that, right? So like, like that's how I look at life. It's just like, so I hope, and not hope, because I don't really do hope anymore, right? I trust that us as a collective will come back to that remembrance and stop giving away our power,
Yeah.
in worshiping, because
Mm.
that's where the real power is being given away. We're worshiping figures, right? And we're worshiping people and things, right? And this is a very important message for me, actually, that I want to share. We're worshiping these things, right? And we give away our power, because that you're worshiping is in fact you, right? It's no different. We're all created
Mhm.
in the image, which means everything before my eyes, right, is me, right? That's how I see it. So how do I give away my power and be like, oh, you healed me? No, I didn't heal you. I assisted you,
Yeah.
right? So we're all doing our own healing. We all have the ability to heal each other. You know, I mean, we all have the ability to assist each other in healing, but it's our body's designed to heal itself. Such a technology, what I'm saying? So we just are using the tools to assist, but people are giving away, their power. And we do it. I've done it
Yeah.
before. We all do it. But we have to come to the awareness that we're doing that, because it's going to continue to limit us from reaching higher potentials, within our own journey. That's just my perspective. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's been part of, I don't know, I think that's been kind of part of the old Earth's plan, in a
Yeah.
sense, of just keeping a lot of our abilities and powers contained.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was intentional or not, but it's so true. It's like seeing that all we need is really within ourselves, and taking inventory of where we are giving our power away,
Mm.
because there's so many spaces and
So many spaces,
places,
man.
and calling it back to us, and every day
Yeah.
calling that energy
Yeah.
back to you. I love how you shared like the 5 steps to self mastery. I recently did a podcast. I was going through this phase where I was like, holy shit, like I know nothing at all.
Mm.
Like I realize what I know is just, it could never be all of it, because that's so vast.
Yeah.
And like the vastness of the universe and the energy is so overwhelming. And I actually had someone reach out to me who thought maybe I lost my mind after that podcast. And it's so funny, like the way that when I feel most connected, most enlightened, most awakened is probably what most people would find the
Yeah.
craziest, where they're like, okay, you've
Yeah.
lost it. But really, I feel like we experience
That's funny.
literally like 1% of what is really able to be experienced. And then like we start to like open up these different spaces and we're like, holy shit, this is vast.
Exactly.
And that is scary shit.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people like have difficulty on the spiritual path and where like, there can be some, just scary experiences because it's like once you start to uncover a lot, you're just like, oh my gosh, there's just so much here that I never saw before.
Exactly.
Where did this come from?
Yeah. So even in that, right, it actually brought me back to the woods, right? When I'm in that void and I'm in that darkness. Many things that like I won't share today, right? I'm like, I'll tell it to you, like, because it's out there. And
I want to go there
I
right
mean,
now.
I mean, there's many things that's out there, right? Because if you look at like these things, like it's here now, like we're talking about it, which is good. Like the Gaia TV and these things that are talking
Yes,
about
love
this
Gaia.
extra stuff, right? So it's good that it's
Hmm.
there. So it's not so like we're not crazy because there's people that's
They're
talking about,
crazier than
yeah,
us.
you know what I'm
No, I'm just
saying?
kidding.
And it's something that I've learned, because for me, I've done things that people be like, "How do you do that?"
Mm,
And I can't tell you how. It's a mystery.
yeah.
We'll never unlock the mystery to the universe. That's the beauty of the universe. It has to stay a mystery, right? So I've done so much things where I'm like, how did I do this? And it's like pure magic. But it's not magic. It's just consciousness
Mm,
because I've allowed myself to be open, right? See, we have a challenge on the earth that I've realized, I've observed that and I had it too, that when it comes to perspectives, everybody have their perspective and they feel entitled to their perspective. There's a wrong and right thing in this dimension. You're wrong. You're right.
Holy
This is
shit.
it. That is it. And see that right there is one of the biggest blockage to go into higher dimensions, right? Because here I am thinking that you're wrong. Like I can't agree. The moment you feel something in your body that doesn't resonate, it's a form of like, like a stop, like, oh, stop,
Yep.
right? So for me, I've come to the point now where I receive everything. Like that's how I've got to get. I mean, this is how I've you've been able to reach these dimensions and these states of like awareness and allowing things to unlock within me because I trust in everything.
Mm,
I see everything. Any perspective you share to me, I see it from eagles. That's why I said like the bird. I'm connected to the school of birds, which is simply seeing things from a higher perspective,
yeah.
right? If you
Yeah.
could be an animal right now, worm, a lion, or eagle, which would you choose?
Eagle for
Eagle,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
The eagle can see from so many perspectives, right? You can see a broader picture,
Mm,
right? And that's how I'm able to see that there's so many ways. It's just like the mountain. Water's coming down, it's taking different paths, but it's all going back to what? The ocean, right? The trees standing on the ground, but it's rooted to what? The one earth. There's many trees. You are an apple tree, you are a mango tree, you are an orange tree, you are that tree, right? But it's all rooted to what? The same earth, right? So we get lost at times in just I'm getting carried away. I'm getting so deep, like my mind just went to spaces now. But like at times we get so lost in different perspectives, like like
mm,
oh, like that. Just be open to the
yeah.
possibility. If you
Yeah.
don't, like if you don't understand it,
Yeah.
some call it understand. I say understand or overstand it, then just sit on it or just let it go. Just let it
Yeah.
pass like a cloud. Everything for me is like a cloud. Even my
Mm,
meditations, everything is just clouds. It's always just moving by. I'm not holding on to anything.
mm,
I'm in the practice of non-attachment. I'm detached. It's
yep.
always just flowing. All right. I see it. That's cool. Some clouds might sit around a little bit longer, right? I say you hang around. Like I like what you're sharing, you know. But it's just like we get so caught up in what, and then that's why and then we get afraid. So like you mentioned, scared. It gets scary, right? If you are scared, then why would it show you more? You're not ready to get to
Yeah.
that point. So some of us be
Yeah.
like, oh God, we are ready. Yes, I want to see more. I want to learn more.
Hmm.
How are you ready if you're afraid of these little things?
Right.
How do you get to the next step if you're afraid of a human being that looks just like you? I like to say that we offend God when we are afraid of a human being in whose image that's created in God's image. We're all created in God's image. So why would I be afraid of you when you are literally created in the same image as my father, right? So it's like, we get afraid of like simple things like the woods and darkness. That's who it's all a part of
Yeah.
us, right? So this is where the pattern interrupt comes in. We have to go into these places if we choose to go
Yes.
beyond. And that's not everybody's assignment. Everyone is not
Hmm.
meant to go in that place. And sometimes we could get lost in wanting to do what somebody's doing. That's what social media does to us too. We kind of get lost in the idea of, man, I want to be like this person. I want to live this life and travel and that. No, just live your life.
Yeah.
You live your life. Just live
Yeah.
how you, let's have your own experience. Be inspired and be like, wow, that's great. Or just be happy for that
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Rather than, creating a jealousy
Yeah.
or, because it happens a lot where people get very jealous, right? And, for me, jealousy, envy, like these are the, I guess, lower traits or just a shadow. It's just a shadow being inspired. I
Exactly.
look at the shadow self just being inspired,
Yeah.
right? It's just like I'm inspired, but hey, I'm gonna keep salty over here, right?
Yep.
And that's the whole thing. So it's just like when we realize it's just like it's just a dance, man. It's a big dance, and we
Yeah.
have to just open ourselves up to the possibilities and knowing that we know nothing and have access to everything,
Yeah.
right? And that's what I do. That's why I said like I've done things, I've seen things, I know different past lives, like not the full depth, but I don't even worry about that because this is the life I'm living right now. While I'm here right now, I'm talking to you as Mystique, not a past life, and there's no past life. Every life is happening right
You
now.
literally like just took this thought out of my head. Wait, repeat that because I was just going to talk about past
All
lives
right. So
and like three other things I'm
three
trying
other
to hold
things.
on to in my
All right,
head.
cool. Because like yeah, for me, I have a thing where I could just go on this channel and I'm just going. So like I'm doing my best. Like I've not been on much podcasts. Like I say to myself a lot. So this is like the second like the second podcast I've ever been on. So I'm also grateful to even be
Oh
here
my gosh, I'm so
and
grateful you're
and
here.
to have the opportunity just to speak with a divine reflection that gets it and just a student just like myself, right? So yeah, like sometimes I'm just taking a pause just to pause because I could keep going
Mhm.
for a long time, and the pause is so important, right? But for the past life, we think that I used to think that like not we talking for myself, can't speak about the we, but the I, you know, I used to think that like these were different lives, but all things are happening right now. There's probably a trillion different Earths, right? I saw this video from this guy, like his name is like a Bashar, just came around like recently. I'm like, who's this guy? And everything he shared was just the greatest affirmation of the
Mm,
greatest confirmation of where I've reached in my consciousness. Because
mhm.
your spirit have a beautiful way of speaking to us. It's so intelligent. I'm always in awe of the creator, like how it works in these synchronistic ways, right? Like the moment you get to a phase in your journey, it kind of like shows you through these people and through things or animal or just simple things, right? And he spoke about past life that there's no past life. Like, all life is just operating right now. That you are here in this earth. There's another you somewhere else in a different earth that's probably on a higher frequency or a lower frequency, and it's all happening. There's only one you, right? There's one Erica. There's only one Mystique, right? That's existing in many different places. So like I might be um in the Pleiades somewhere. Actually, I'll do it like this. I'll give you a very simple practical breakdown if you're okay for that.
Yeah.
Let's draw a cross. I have a cross. I just like this other day. We have a cross. This is the vertical timeline.
Mhm.
This is the horizontal timeline.
Mhm.
All right. And on this horizontal timeline, it's a linear way how we see.
Chronological
Yeah.
age.
Yeah. It's just me. I die and that's it. Life is
Yep.
done. Right. On this vertical timeline, we have 3D, 4D, 5D, 60, 70, 80, 90, 10D. And in all these different, I guess, dimension, there's a version of you.
Yeah.
Right. But we are
Yep.
living this life on, we enter the earth. The alpha, which is birth. That's also the past. We're here right now in the present moment,
Mhm.
which is the middle of that dot, the point of it.
Yep.
Right now, we're here. And then there's this future, quote unquote, future, right? That is the future, which is also death. Because we know that that's the only thing that's promised here is death,
Yeah.
right? Or, like the alpha and I'm like, the alpha and the omega, right? So
Yep.
the death. So people are just living on this like horizontal timeline, just moving on this line, thinking that, oh, that's it. But no, there's like if you become the overseer, the oversoul, you realize that there's many versions of us operating. It's like we have to come to these awareness, and that's the thing where we just don't really get it because the program that's running. So
Yeah.
that's like a whole rant right there. Like I've been at times like I go in
No,
these spaces and I'm like, yo, I'm not even here. So
no, I
hopefully some things are coming through.
absolutely. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking like I'm so happy we
Oh
didn't
man, that's deep.
plan anything and let it all flow because
Yeah.
this is divine.
Ah,
Yeah, it's wild. And there's moments, and feel like I touched on this earlier, where like I'll go back and be like, oh my God, I said that. I did that.
Yeah.
What? And it was because I was in a different
Dimension.
dimension in
Yeah.
that moment. And
Yeah.
this happens to me all the time. It's not woo woo, it's not out
It's not.
there. It's so real.
Yeah.
And it's pretty wild to
Yeah.
experience. It's wild.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the energy on Earth right now, the
The
solar
what?
flares, the
Solar flares.
energy.
Yeah.
So, what have you been receiving and feeling into? I know you and I talk back and forth about this a lot because we're very sensitive to energy and we're feeling the energy on Earth.
Yeah.
Um, what do you feel is happening right now, and what do you feel it's leading us to?
So I'll start by saying I know nothing, right?
Right.
But I'm gonna share my perspective, what I've
We
received.
know
Right?
nothing,
I know
but
nothing.
there's a lot to share at the
Yeah.
same time.
Right. The sun has its ways, right?
Mm,
Like I look at this time as a new beginning, right?
hmm.
And new beginnings are often disguised as painful
Yeah.
endings, right? That pain could be heat, could be hot, right? Or it could be whatever, or the natural disasters. So, the sun is going through, based on what I've seen, a solar, like a maximum. It happens every 11 years, right? 11 for me is a portal. It's like a portal. The one and the one is like the masculine and the feminine,
Mm,
dark and the light. It's like everything that's opposite to each other, but it's the same one, right? So, there's no coincidence that it happens every 11 years. And there's a talk that says the great solar flash is going to be the shift on Earth. It's going to be where the collective consciousness awaken, because the sun is also it's light code. It's
yeah.
all light code. So people be like, oh, it's just creating all this harm. No, it's
Yeah.
activating you, right? And this is why
Yeah.
they say stay inside and all this stuff. And then all this radiation. Yes, the radiation might affect you, but it also might, I guess, help you to ascend
Yeah.
or activate you, right? It all depends on where your body is,
Mm-hmm.
because our bodies are all in different spaces, and it's also necessary for us to go through that because it's frequency that's higher. Even like these conversations sometimes could get kind of like draining because we're in a frequency
Yeah.
that, or like you're in a density
Yeah.
that can't exist here. So we're
Mm.
trying to go up in these densities, and then we feel it in our body. We start to
Yeah.
get like, because I feel it right now at times when I go there, I'm like, my
Yeah.
body starts to get a little bit, tense. So solar flash is like the shift. There's a talk that's the time when our, I guess, galactic brothers and sisters, other dimensional beings, because Earth isn't the only place, right? Like you can't really believe that Earth is just the only place that
Yeah.
have life. So that's the time when the other beings will come and assist us. The power is gonna go. Like we're seeing it happening right now. There's gonna be a lot of disasters. We're seeing it. So it's not like you're not seeing it. So even if you're seeing the information and like you don't believe it, you're witnessing it. Maybe not here,
Mm-hmm.
but within the Earth,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's parts of the Earth that's going through wild disaster. Like it's so wild, and but we're in our own little bubble. We're in our own little dream world. Like, oh, like all is well until it comes here, and you'd be like, oh
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
right? So the shift is happening in that way where a lot of, I guess, disasters, and this is supposed to create what we call a black hole. All the satellites supposed to be go out, like you're supposed to go out, and then the entire Earth becomes dark times, right? So that's where I see the solar flash going. I believe in, I trust in that's necessary for the system to collapse. It's important because in a second everything will collapse, and that might be scary for a lot of people, but it's important. It's necessary for us to shift.
Yeah.
So we're all making plans for the future.
Mm.
We need to prepare for the future, quote unquote, which is right now, because we don't know the time or the hour, right? You come like what? A thief in the night.
Mm-hmm.
That's the idea. So everyone is making a plan, a 5-year plan and 10-year plan. How
Yeah.
do you know what's going to happen in five
I
years?
know. I'm so
Right?
triggered by that question. I'm
Right?
like, I don't know.
Yeah. Like,
I
how do
don't
you know
even
what's
know
going to
what's
happen
going on tomorrow.
tomorrow?
Come
Right?
on.
Right. So it's just like, all you could do is start preparing yourself. What do I need to do? And preparing yourself not means just, actually, I'm like, having money in that, because all that's going to be gone. Like, like I'll share something to you after this as well. It's more about your mental
Yeah.
preparation,
Yeah.
your spiritual
Yep.
preparation, your emotional preparation.
Yep.
That when that time comes, that's why I said, man, take a trip in the dark, do a vision quest, go in the woods for a day and see what happened. Or go with somebody and just spend a night in the woods and get past these little fear, because the day's
Mm.
gonna come when it's gonna get real dark. I believe it. And you have to become that light. You have to ignite the light within you,
Mm.
right? So we could see in that time. So for me, like, I look at it like that. Like that's what's gonna happen on the earth. It's happening right now. we have got about 10 different hit of like M flares within the past weeks,
Yeah.
so it's coming in heavy.
I
So
felt it.
hopefully like that actually makes some sense. And then in that, I've got this very powerful download, and this is deep. I'm gonna share it regardless. Like, should I share it? Share it, right? You can cut it if you want. And this is not to create any form of fear, right? This is literally information that you could use. Like, again, like you don't have to share it. I'm gonna just share it. All right. I've seen this vision or got this download of currency. We're hearing the talk of inflation, right? And
Hmm.
the dimension. We know that this is going to collapse, right? It's inevitable. If you don't think it's going to collapse, then sure. But it's a part of the cyclical ways of nature. It's a rhythm of the cycles of the earth, right? And the vision is that we have to come back to the five. We have to understand the five levels of intelligence when it comes to
Hmm.
currency, right? And currency is fiat, it's stocks, it's crypto, it's precious metals and golds like silver, gold, and all this stuff, and it's intelligence. Right? That's the highest one is intelligence. How is our intelligence working? Is it working against us or is it working with us? Like how are we using it? Or other people using the intelligence against you? So just imagine. I'm not even gonna even say this or even like you project it. Just imagine what would happen if a solar flare comes and all the power is gone, satellite is done, everything is gone. If you have all your money and stuff in the bank, your fiat,
Hmm.
how do you access it?
Yeah, you don't.
It's gone.
Yep.
Everything is gone,
Hmm.
right? So then what happens then? We're going to go back to a way that's in the cycle of
Yep.
life.
Yep.
We're going to live with higher intelligence,
Yep.
but in Stone Age ways,
Hmm.
right? Which means we're going to go back to trading,
Hmm.
bartering, going back to what we call
Working
precious
together.
metals, working together. That's when we're going to be forced or pushed into true collaboration.
Yep.
There's no room for competition, but it's going to still try to exist,
Hmm.
right? And then that's when the greed is going to come in, and then the chaos happen in the world,
Yeah.
right? And then the peace is going to happen. The peace is going to happen as well. It's just up to you what you choose, right? A shift
Hmm.
is going to happen. A big shift is going to happen in that time. And if there's a currency that's going to be used, it'd be gold or silver or precious metals. So for me, I've been told I don't have that much money anymore. Like this currency, I'm spiritually wealthy, but in this dimension, like I've given away all my money and rebuilding that. But I don't rely on that because all that I have is all that I need, and all that I need I already have, and whatever I desire I shall receive because my reality is created by me, right? So if you do have a lot of money, man, start converting it, start turning it into some gold, to some silver, right? Because it's going to come when this paper that we call the US dollar or whatever currency, it's going to be gone. We see the world is going to what we call digital currencies. What's going to happen to all the paper,
Yeah.
right? If it becomes digital, what happened when the solar flash comes? There's no
Right.
online, like it's gone. Unless,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? So we have to look at these things like don't be alarmed or be afraid of it. Just look at it and think about it really. Think about what I'm sharing, the
Yeah.
depth of it. Your 401k, for anybody that's in the 3D realm, 401k, your I guess like your retirement plans, all these different things, it's gone in the blink of an eye, just like that. What happens then? The world goes mad, you know. So this is a vision that I've seen that I like that I don't share because in my practice, shamanic practice is to dream a new reality. So I'm gonna do that right now by shifting it because I spoke
Hmm.
about it. So I have to shift it and bring it back to what I envision is the new earth
Yeah.
where we're living together in
Yep.
harmony and peace.
Hmm.
We're out of this chaos that we are finding peace in chaos.
Yes.
We find joy in sorrow, right? And I have to speak that into existence. That's my
Hmm.
duty on the earth is to dream a new story. That's a story that's possible, but I'm not in that story.
Right.
I'll be here,
Yeah.
but it's not going to become my reality because
Yeah.
I'm already free.
Hmm.
And who's going to choose to live in this new earth where we're
Yeah.
coming together and living a life like coming back to the earth, back to the simplicity, back to the basics.
Yeah.
That's what my whole journey is about, is living it, but coming back to the basics and knowing that I could have all this stuff,
Yeah.
but remember the basics because we have forgotten it. As a civilization, we have got soft, right? We're talking about heat. We're talking about cold. How did our ancestors live in the Stone Age? How did they live with all the cold and all this
Right.
stuff? We got soft, right? So we have to come back to that sternness and remembering who we are as children of the earth and children of the sky. So that's the message is deep.
It is so
Yeah.
deep. And I think that when we have such a deep knowing within ourselves, and the practice, and that if you want to call it a spiritual awakening, that you could hear scary things and
Yeah.
not be
Not
afraid
be afraid.
because you trust and because you know you're taking care of you
Yeah.
and you're investing
Yeah.
in your spirit, in
Yeah.
your energy, in your light body.
For sure.
So it what you mentioned, my former self would have been scared
Scared. Yeah.
shitless. And this version of myself is like, you know what? There have to be changes that
Yeah.
happen because right now a lot of things aren't working,
It's not
you
working.
know, and there have to be changes. And I pray for a graceful, blissful transformation.
Transformation. Yes.
But it's also the law of duality where
It's,
sometimes we need the contrast in order to create the joy and the bliss.
yeah.
So I am excited for the new earth. I'm looking forward to the new earth, and we're already creating and living in the new earth
Yeah.
in
It's there. Yeah.
many ways, especially here in this community and in your
Yeah.
communities. I can literally talk all day. We should probably do a part two because of how much we can talk about.
Yeah.
I want to share one more thing that I saw though, like when you went back to like going into the darkness and um being in that tent, like, and connecting to Pachamama, I see you generating this field around you that any animal that came through, any insect that came through, they just saw your connectedness to
Yeah.
them. And you were not impacted by that
That's
because
right.
they knew you were in synergy with them. And I
Yeah.
just visualize that. And I think, um, so powerful. And one other thing that I wanted to say was about detachment,
Mm.
how powerful it is, and how I've always been a very, I guess, opinionated or passionate person. But as I've continued on in my journey of awakening and clearing and ascending, I've become so much more attached to any opinion at
Yeah.
all. Because again, like, what do I know? Like, what do I know? I know what works for me.
Yeah. That's it.
I know it
That's
works for me
all.
right
That's
now
it.
in this moment,
That's right.
but who knows? And I was giggling at one point because I'm thinking about like the comment sections and Instagram. They're hysterical. I don't know
Oh
if you ever
man.
check them out.
I
Anytime
do
I see a
sometimes.
controversial post, I love going in the
Oh
comment
man.
sections,
It'd be the craziest
and
thing.
I'm just listening to these people go at one another, and I'm like, OMG. It's hysterical. It's like the game, it's like Hunger Games. It's like
It's wild.
games of the 3D. Like, oh gosh. But
That is funny.
everything that you shared, like we really do travel when we're talking and when we're together. And everything you shared was so powerful, so meaningful.
Yeah.
And I hope that everyone listening knows that everything comes from such a space of love
Yeah.
and just from our divine downloads. And again, what feels right or truthful to us does not mean it has to feel truthful to
That's it.
you at all, at all.
Mm.
And it's all about the experience of when we feel triggered or when we feel hardening happening in our body, when we hear someone else's perspective or opinion, inhaling into that and softening into that and be like, ooh, what's coming up in that moment for me? What is that? And
Yeah.
how can I soften and open to that? And how can I respect his opinion or her opinion while still maintaining my own very different opinion?
Yeah.
So, Mystique, I thank you so much for this conversation. I'm going to be like buzzing for hours. I hope that you'll come back and chat with us. And I'm so grateful to be on this path with you.
Yes, likewise. I'm so grateful just to be here and, just have the opportunity to speak because, like for me, I've been shying away from this for a long time because I don't want to get certain information out. So I'm grateful for the platform, just be able just to express and be in sacred company. I'm so thankful. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
If people wanted to follow you or to connect with you for content creation or spirituality and beyond, your community that you're creating, where would they find you?
So Instagram is Elevate Creates, ELEVEIGHT Creates. And the website would be justelevate.com. So JUSTELEIGHT. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Just elevate. She could write it somewhere down here, right?
Elevate,
Yeah. Just ELEVEIGHT.
like the
So
number
number
eight,
eight,
isn't it?
exactly.
I
So
love that.
JUSTELEVEIGHT. Yeah.
I love that.
Justelevate.com. So that's where I have everything that I'm in the works of doing right now. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
I appreciate you.
Thank you. And thank
You're welcome.
all of you, the listeners, for tuning in. I know this is a big one. So take your time with it, come back to it,
uh,
breathe into it. You probably heard some like inhales and exhales that I had to do as we were talking about
yeah.
some things. So just just feel
Oh,
into
that's
it.
funny.
Thank you for being here. May the long time sun shine upon you. Satnam.